Good morning and welcome to the first Centennial Zoscars. This is an opportunity to experience, through a computer monitor, a sweeping adventure of the greatest films and filmmakers of all time that we watched. That also came out in 2019. And there are also some weird rules that we'll get into later. We're here to announce the official nominations for this year. Remember, as always, the only eligible films will be movies that came out in 2019 that were watched by both LittleZbot and Evil Grapes. Why those two? Because they represent perfection in media. They have already attempted everything and failed at all of it. The law of averages states that they should get this one perfect. Actors nominate actors, and editors nominate... Wait, we don't have an editing category? Really? Directors nominate... We don't have a directing category either? What kind of experience do these people have? What's the point? What do you mean we had no budget and grabbed the first two guys we found on the street? The Oscars are a big deal. Everyone likes award shows. Anyway, please welcome this year's hosts, LittleZbot and Evil Grapes. Or their disembodied voices because they won't agree to appear on camera.
Good evening, everyone. I prepared a big opening monologue.
But you're gonna skip it so we can get right to the nominations, right?
Nope! Back in my day, I wanted to be a host. Eventually, I got the opportunity. I was allowed the chance of a lifetime to host the ZBot Direct. Unfortunately, after my very racist depiction of Japanese culture, I was fired and forced to host the rest of the channel as a lifetime mental prison sentence. But it's okay, because I ran away to host this one instead.
Actually, this is still on the same channel. This is part of your contract.
But it's okay, because I ran away to host this one instead.
Right. Now, as professional film connoisseurs...
Connoisseurs?
Yeah, is there a problem?
Just never mind.
As professional film connoisseurs, we took a lot of time in deciding how much money we would accept from Disney to make sure they won every category. And the good news is that it was a lot. I'm not allowed to disclose that though, but I'm pretty sure it's legal as long as I don't say how much.
I'm ruined.
In all seriousness, me and Evil Grapes actually did watch many movies that came out in 2019, and we really did want to make this video nominating what we thought were our personal favorites in each category. We actually spent a lot of time researching and thinking about this, and we came up with about 15 different categories and 6 nominations for each that we're pretty proud of. Again, despite the opening of this video being full of bad jokes and stupid humor, the categories and the nominations presented are serious, but also very subjective, because these are mine and Evil Grapes' opinions, and we're not actually film connoisseurs.
Wait a second, I didn't agree to this! You mean we didn't accept any sellout money from any of these companies? But that's what every other award show does.
Crap, dang, I knew we forgot something.
With that out of the way, let's list our nominations for Best Picture. A couple of things to note beforehand. The first is that even though there were a lot of good ones this year, me and LittleZbot happen to not have watched any R-rated films that came out in 2019. So if you're expecting Joker or Parasite to make the list, we haven't seen them, so they aren't here. The second is that while we did pick out each one of the nominations for the categories themselves, the order that they're presented in is completely randomized to avoid subconscious bias. Unlike what many other award shows do, for Best Picture, we've nominated every 2019 movie we saw. Partly to keep you guys guessing, and partly because narrowing it down to 6 would have been really annoying. Let's show you every movie we saw in 2019. Spies in Disguise.
Jumanji, The Next Level.
Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Wonder Park.
Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom.
Noelle.
The Night Before Christmas.
Toy Story 4.
Shazam.
Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Dragon Ball Super Broly.
The Lion King.
The Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Klaus.
Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker.
Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Togo.
Avengers Endgame.
How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World.
Abominable.
Dumbo.
Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
Ad Astra.
Norm of the North, A King-Sized Adventure.
Aladdin.
The Secret Life of Pets 2.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Missing Link.
Frozen 2.
The Angry Birds Movie 2.
Reign of the Supermen.
Ruby, Volume 6.
Lady and the Tramp.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Captain Marvel.
Little Women.
And Ugly Dolls.
You may notice that some popular movies were left out. This is simply because we just didn't watch them this year. The list you just heard is every 2019 movie that we have seen up to this point.
You may call into question a couple of these movies, such as Dragon Ball Super Broly and Ruby Volume 6. We went by the official US release date of these movies, so while Dragon Ball Super Broly originally came out in Japan in 2018, we consider it a 2019 film because it only came out in our country this year.
And although bits and chunks of RWBY Volume 6 were released in 2018 on a specific website for specific people, the movie only came together as a whole in 2019, where it was distributed to other websites and packaged as a standalone film, like the other volumes. Therefore, it's counted.
And for a similar reason as to why Dragon Ball Super Broly was counted, we are not counting Weathering with You, a film that was released in Japan in 2019, but not to our country until 2020.
This is highly unprofessional.
Oh, go milk a taxpayer. In addition to the Best Picture category, we have 14 additional categories today, and we're prepared to show you all 6 nominations for each. Some of these categories may have video or audio samples to go along with them. It wouldn't exactly be very fair if we nominated 6 songs for Best Original Song and played absolutely none of them. Others, however, will not. This is decided by us personally on a case-by-case basis. One more thing to note, only 1 nomination per film in each category. Alright, let's begin. Best Acting in a Non-Animated Film. Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Is this really considered non-anime when there's so much CGI?
Shut up! Tom Holland gets nominated for his role as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, portraying perfectly how both are 2 sides of the same character. He also does an excellent job depicting the struggles a teenage boy can go through when greatness is suddenly thrust upon him, especially when he has to navigate his own personal life as well. He was also good in Avengers Endgame, but it was here where he proved himself as the definitive Spider-Man.
Elle Fanning as Princess Aurora, from Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Elle Fanning's acting showcases a classic Disney princess who is kind, sweet, but not naive. Her presence is powerful, and her cries of despair will rattle you.
Brad Pitt as Roy McBride, Ad Astra. An emotionally distant man is an extremely hard role to portray, but Brad Pitt does a fantastic job, showcasing just enough to get the viewer invested without ever breaking character.
Dwayne Johnson as Dr. Bravestone, from Jumanji: The Next Level. It's difficult to portray someone who is nothing like you, and far more so to portray 2 people who are nothing like you. It's to his credit that Dwayne Johnson never once fell out of character and still connected with us.
Saoirse Ronan as Josephine March, Little Women. With an accent switch impressive enough where nobody guessed she was actually Irish, Saoirse Ronan blew many away with her performance as Jo March. Regardless of accentation, she played the part as if she was born for it, perfectly capturing every nuance of the character.
Tom Hanks as Fred Rogers, from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. To take on the challenge of being someone who America already knows incredibly well indicated enormous bravery, and the fact that Tom Hanks pulls it off effortlessly indicates enormous talent.
Best voice acting in an animated film. Jerry O'Connell as Clark Kent / Cyborg Superman, Reign of the Supermen. Superman's character has been played by many over the years, but we feel few have nailed the roles as much as Jerry O'Connell has in Reign of the Supermen. He also unexpectedly played Cyborg Superman, whose acting and mannerisms are so different we actually didn't know it was him until we looked it up.
Jen Taylor as Salem, from RWBY Volume 6. Across the franchise, Salem's role has been relatively demure and manipulative, but in this film her voice actress allows the character to step into the light with a commanding presence and multifaceted acting for all stages of this character's life.
Kristen Bell as Anna, Frozen 2. Kristen Bell balances her acting and singing very well, with both working to simultaneously make the other hit harder. Her voice work is never dull no matter what she's doing, and every emotion is convincing. She truly feels like the character she's portraying.
Jay Bruchel as Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III, from How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. We can ponder over why everyone in this movie has entirely different accents another day. For now, let's just appreciate how much Jay Bruchel nails the character of Hiccup in this film, with every inner conflict, humorous moment, or piece of genuine emotion delivered as well as you could ever ask.
Tom Hanks as Woody, Toy Story 4. After all these years, Tom Hanks is still irreplaceable as Woody. He gives it his all and never falters for a moment, unlike the movie he's in. When Toy Story 5 inevitably happens, we should all pray that Hanks is still up to the part.
Chris Pratt as Emmett Brakowski / Rex Dangervest from the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Chris Pratt is the perfect choice to play a character like Emmett, hitting every needed note of optimism and distress. In addition, his double role here works excellently. Rex Dangervest is just Chris Pratt in the Legoverse, and the fact that he is able to pull it off while acting like a new character is noteworthy to say the least.
Best animation in animated film. Frozen 2.
Dragon Ball Super Broly.
The Lego Movie 2, the second part.
How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
The Lion King.
Klaus.
Best comedic side character. Tough Nut Thorsten, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. In The Hidden World, Tough Nut Thorsten gets the proper time to shine that he always needed. His role in the TV shows was stellar, and it's both amazing and gratifying that he keeps it up in the new film.
C-3PO from Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Of the many surprises in The Rise of Skywalker, 3PO being actively present was one of the best. Having this droid be the comic relief has been a Star Wars staple since the beginning, although it hasn't always been successful. But here, he's at his best, with great chemistry between the main characters and hilarious lines that stick well after you leave the theater.
Olaf, Frozen 2. I make no secret of the fact that I believe the original version would have been a better movie without Olaf.
I disagree.
Yes, many disagree. However, he works exceptionally better in the sequel, thanks to having a role with roots in the main story, better jokes and delivery, and the most hilarious scene in the entire film. Dare I say, Frozen 2 made Olaf funny.
Genie from Aladdin. Robin Williams was irreplaceable as the original Genie, which is why I'm glad they didn't even try. His new rendition is completely different, but interestingly enough, just as entertaining as he ever was, if not more so.
Ned Leeds, Spider-Man: Far From Home. If Ned was dead, there would be bloodshed. If I found the perpetrator, let it be said that I would behead the evil inbred with a thermonuclear warhead. AKA he's funny, and good character.
Batman from the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Lego Batman has never been the typical movie or comic style Caped Crusader, but that's fine because since the original Lego Movie, Will Arnett has been giving an incredible performance as the most out there, entertaining Batman we're likely to ever see.
Best cinematography. Ad Astra.
The Lion King.
Missing Link.
Avengers: Endgame.
How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Toga.
Nice original score. Dragon Ball Super Broly, Norihito Sumitomo.
Ad Astra by Max Richter.
Ruby, Volume 6, Alex Abraham.
Avengers: Endgame by Alan Silvestri.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, John Williams.
How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World by John Powell.
Alright, best original song. Yancey, Together from Afar, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Walter Martin, Do Dilly Do, A Friend Like You, from Missing Link.
Jeff Williams, Indomitable, featuring Casey Lee Williams, Ruby Volume 6.
Tiffany Haddish, Not Evil, from the Lego Movie 2, the second part.
I'm queen, whatever I wanna be. I never trick people into trusting me by hiding my true personality, so I can use it to accomplish my evil deeds. 'Cause that'd be evil, and that's so not me. I never cheat, I never.
Nick Jonas, The Ugly Truth, Ugly Dolls.
That's the ugly truth. Yeah, so sorry, that's the truth. Woo, that's just the ugly truth. UGLY, and that's the ugly.
Idina Menzel and Evan Rachel Wood, Show Yourself, from Frozen 2.
Show yourself, step into your power, grow yourself into something new. You are the one you've been waiting for. Show yourself.
Best Production and Set Design, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. In 2015, I said that Star Wars had never looked so real as it did in The Force Awakens. In 2017, I said that Star Wars had never looked so real as it did in The Last Jedi. And now, in 2019, the bar is raised again. The set pieces and practical effects are mixed so well with CGI you can hardly tell the two apart. The work put into it is clearly immense, making us feel like we are in the Star Wars universe.
Missing Link. Missing Link's strongest attribute are the handcrafted environments and characters, with incredible dedication and care from the team that put Laika's biggest project ever together. It shouldn't be possible, but it managed to happen anyway.
Avengers Endgame. While the visual effects might be Endgame's strongest aspect, the work put into the production and set design is highly commendable. Paying tribute to so many previously established locations accurately isn't a simple task, but Endgame manages to nail it. The sets look completely perfect, as if they really did travel back in time to film it.
Little Women. Most of the reason Little Women's portrait of the past is convincing is because of this. The amount of locations is huge, as if we're somewhere new every scene, and the sets and production remain consistently immersive.
Ad Astra. You wouldn't think that a movie about the emptiness of space would need very complicated production design, but you would be wrong! The ship's planets and buildings are mostly practical, with the little CGI involved and lots of work and care put into the set pieces.
Togo. Shooting on location can already be a difficult task, but a film on this scale, with environments this dangerous, attempting it and succeeding is something else. There is a scene where Leonard Seppala is hanging off the edge of a cliff, almost falling to his death. That wasn't fake. Willem Dafoe actually hung from a real mountain. Everyone gave it their all to keep the movie as grounded to reality as possible.
Best Sound Design. The Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Ad Astra.
Avengers Endgame.
The Lion King.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Best Visual Effects. Captain Marvel.
Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Ad Astra.
Avengers Endgame.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Best Action Sequence. Godzilla and his pals destroy innocent buildings. Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Monkeys on the Bridge, from Jumanji: The Next Level.
The Bull and the Bees. Ruby Volume 6.
Versus Broly, from Dragon Ball Super: Broly.
Force Skype Saber Fight. Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
I know what happened to them. Tell me where you are. You don't know the whole story. It was Palpatine.
Avengers Assemble, from Avengers Endgame.
Most comedic film. Spies in Disguise. Spies in Disguise takes its very bizarre premise and extracts as much humor and as many gags as you could possibly harvest from it, for better or for worse. Either way, it's very entertaining.
Aladdin. Jams.
Jumanji: The Next Level. The Next Level takes the humor from its predecessor and capitalizes on it. Most of the comedy in Jumanji is sold by the actors playing personalities that clearly don't match them and nailing them to a T. With the additional fact that everything in a video game world doesn't have many logical rules, it sets up a number of hilarious situations.
The Angry Birds Movie 2. While The Angry Birds Movie 2 is about as immature and stupid as the original, it's actually funny this time around, with lots of extended jokes, crazy shenanigans, and a side plot that's much more entertaining than it has any right to be. This might actually be the first time in our lives we've laughed at toilet humor. It's actually a funny movie.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Although many have complained about the Marvel brand of humor in the new Star Wars films, we felt it worked pretty well in The Rise of Skywalker, if not just for its great cast and their chemistry. The final chapter in the Skywalker saga is arguably also the funniest.
The Lego Movie 2, the second part. One would hope that a follow-up to the Lego Movie would have at least a quarter of the comedic value of the original, but we need never have worried. Lord Miller's writing is as sharp as ever, drenched with underlying subtext and never relying on a cheap laugh. The final two categories of the afternoon will be Best Retelling of an Original Story and Best Original Story.
Because so much of Hollywood's material is a sequel of something based off of pre-existing media, and we watched a lot of that this year, the line between the two will be a little blurred.
Our descriptors of the two categories are the best we can come to a definitive division between them.
Best Retelling of an Original Story. Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I bet you forgot that this was based on a video game, didn't you? And no, not the Pokemon series, an actual game about Detective Pikachu. Luckily, the movie takes the original story of the game and vastly improves it, with better plotlines, hooks, and characters.
Shazam. The DCEU has once again improved with the release of Shazam. Its retelling of the original origin story of the comic book character is both humorous and thoughtful.
Togo. The writers and filmmakers of Togo spent extra time ensuring that it was as realistic as possible given the original story. And while Balto's achievements should not be entirely ignored, it is a relief to finally get a movie about the real hero of the story after all this time.
Avengers Endgame. While Endgame takes a far more liberal approach with its progression to the end from the original source material, it still relates back to the original story enough to be considered for this category, which is good because the story it tells is enthralling and well developed.
Aladdin. Keeping things similar when it needed to, but making modern adjustments when necessary, Aladdin brings the original story to life in more ways than one.
All of these sound like a Rotten Tomatoes critic consensus.
Yeah, well, would you like us to go on for 3 categories about how much we like the single jams joke? Because we do!
Little Women. Louisa May Alcott's original novel has generated many retellings, but we consider Greta Gerwig's adaptation to be the best one. It treats the story it came from with respect, and the few changes it does make are all for the better. The decision to do it non-chronologically was an unexpected but extraordinarily welcome surprise.
Best Original Story. RWBY Volume 6. RWBY has had a long and bumpy road when it comes to telling an original story, but Volume 6 does an excellent job. Between a fantastic opening, a lore dump that is for once interesting, and one of the most surprisingly effective tone shifts we have ever seen in a movie.
Spider-Man Far From Home. While you might have expected to see this in Best Retelling, let's be honest, 95% of this movie is just an original story. Continuing the MCU after Endgame is a questionable endeavor, but Far From Home proves that there's places for this cinematic universe to go. If every movie afterward is as good as this one, we're looking at a pretty good timeline.
Frozen 2. When you want to create a sequel to the highest grossing animated film of all time, a good story might not be your first thought, but it clearly was the first thought in the minds of Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, as Frozen 2 attempts to hit several notes at once and strikes them all beautifully.
How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. The grand finale to one of the best animated trilogies of all time and 3 surprisingly great TV shows, The Hidden World has a lot to live up to, and it surpassed expectations, providing a satisfying conclusion to the story.
Ad Astra. Filling in a very specific niche. Ad Astra is the type of movie that not a lot of people would like, but everyone knows they're supposed to like. It went for a good story, a different tone, and an engaging character study, and hit the nail square on the head.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Although it's loosely based on true events, much of it is dramatized, enough for us to at least consider this original.
You consider this an original but not Endgame?
Shut up, guy we wrote in the script just that we wouldn't have to hear all the angry comments from fans.
What fans?
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is, quite frankly, beautiful. A simple movie held together only by interactions from 2 distinct characters. One would think it would fall apart after any minute study, but every aspect of this story and movie holds together remarkably well.
We wish to congratulate each and every nominee for their excellent work, not that they care, and we invite you to tune back in on March 18th, 3:30 PM CST, to see who wins each category.
We did it?
We did it. You can untie him now.
I hate my life.